about now? Okay, I'll call the order. Rolesville Town Board Commissioner meeting, regular meeting for December the 6th, 2022. We will start with a Pledge of Allegiance, and then I got Pastor Steve Davis from the Bethlehem Baptist Church will kind of lead us into invocation, if you would, after the pledge. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray together. Father, we come to a time tonight where business is conducted, a time in which decisions need to be made, a time, dear Father, in which we need your leadership and your direction to make wise ones. We pray for that tonight. We pray, dear Father, for a sense of discernment and leadership in each one's life as they come to share things. We pray for leadership and direction for our town leaders as they seek to make decisions. Give, dear Father, each one a sense of appreciation for the fact that you've given us a wonderful place to live. May we value it, may we be thankful for it, and may we share together in it as individuals who appreciate what you give to us. We thank you for it, for we ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Davis. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. As we start tonight, the first thing we do is review the agenda, make any changes. My understanding from the planning director, there has been a request made by the applicant for C1 legislative hearing MA 21-10 and the annexation 22-07 for Tom's Creek. My understanding is there has been some changes made to the plans and requesting to send it back through the planning board for further review. Is the applicants here? Okay, so I see some nods. So is that the case? Meredith, did I say that correctly? Anything you want to add to that request?
You got that spot on.
Okay, thank you. And I know some of the commissioners had some concerns about it not being reviewed, with all the changes reviewed by the planning board. Anybody want to say anything? I know, Dan, did you want to say anything? I know you had talked about need to go back to the planning board.
Yes. With all the changes that's been made since the planning board had made a decision of no 4-1, all of the changes need to go back to the planning board so that way they can feel comfortable with their decision after hearing everything versus coming to us and we hear everything and say the same thing. So to prevent us going in circles, I just made this suggestion out front.
Okay. David suggested we go ahead and take it up on the agenda to keep people from having to wait the whole meeting and hour, and then we don't take it up. So I think it's up to this board whether we want to do that or not. So I entertain any more discussion on it. I know Dan has made his statement. Any other discussion from any other commissioners want to have on that?
I would like to say that I do agree with Dan. I agree with that from day one, that it should really go before the planning board with all the changes. I'm not even sure if you can call them changes, just what,
Clarifications?
yeah, definitely, yeah. So, let it start there, let them sort through it, and then let it follow the process and come to us.
Okay, any other discussion?
I think it's a great idea. I watched the planning board meeting, and I think they asked a lot of questions that we would have asked. So I agree with them reviewing and hearing it first.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda that anybody suggesting? If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as it is, or to adopt the agenda with item C1 removed. So I'll take a motion on either one.
I move to adopt the agenda with the removal of item C1.
I second.
Okay, so I hear a motion to accept the agenda with only changes, C1 to be removed. Any other discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, I think it's 5-0, so thank you very much. Appreciate you guys coming out. We're going to send it back to the planning board and let them take another look at it. Kind of want to do this so you don't, you're welcome to stay as long as you want to and watch the meeting, but, you know, it'd probably been an hour before it came up on the agenda, so we wanted to kind of save you the time to do that if you got other things to do. We do have a public speaking thing, so I'll invite you up. All right. So with that, let's move on. Town Board Liaison Meetings. Paul Vilga, anything from your group on Parks and Recreation?
I'm going to have no report tonight as our meeting was not held in November. We're going to have our meeting 12/14 now. That'll be our next meeting.
Okay.
So after that.
Okay. Very good. How about Economic Development? Sheila Sutton.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I wanted to provide an update on. One is Launch Rolesville. I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but Launch Rolesville is a program that our chamber does, and in partnership with Wake Tech. It's actually done throughout the county, so we have one here in our town. And it's a great program because it's for entrepreneurs, love that word. Whether you have a current business or whether you have an idea for a business. It's a great opportunity. You go through, I don't know how long it is, I want to say 8 to 12 weeks. It's quite a intense class, but I got to attend what they call Pitch Night last week. It's a Shark Tank style pitch night where there are judges, as well as some of those judges may be investors, that listen to their presentation, and they are allowed to invest in their business if they choose, but really it's to give them an opportunity to present their business idea. So we got to hear some really good presentations. I think one of them asked for $10 million. So we have some business ideas that people really have in Rolesville. I was happy to see. And I want to say the winner of it, I don't remember her name, but she was quite impressive, but she's a founder of a CBD, am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. Business, and she talked about how much CBD is used, and I didn't realize it, and I didn't realize how many products it's in and how it helps with pain and different things and how it's naturally in your body. I was quite impressed with her, so I'll be looking up her business. So I'm excited about that. And then that same class, which was about 15 to 20 participants, they actually graduate tomorrow evening. So if you want to come out to support them, I believe it starts at 6 p.m. and it will be at a Rise co-working space. So would invite you all as a public to come out and support, and definitely the board to come out and the staff if you would like to come out and support these budding entrepreneurs. The other thing I wanted to mention is myself, the mayor, Commissioner Austin, and Commissioner Sneed had the opportunity to go to Montgomery, Alabama last week. And I know y'all are probably thinking, how does this relate to economic development? So we went to the Peace and Justice Museum, Legacy Museum and Memorial in Montgomery, Alabama. We did a day trip. It was a whirlwind. And when I first was invited to go, I thought, why do I need to go to this? And when I went, I came back and I said, everybody needs to go to this. The reason I say this is, I don't know if you all have heard of the movie Just Mercy. Attorney Brian Stevenson, that movie was about him and how he fights for rights of people that have been wrongly imprisoned. And it's called the Equal Justice Initiative. And the reason I bring that up in response to economic development is because your justice system in your country affects your economics. And so when people are not treated fairly, they don't have a fair shot, even when they pay their dues to society and come back out and don't have a fair shot, it affects our economy. So I would encourage you all to go visit that museum. I'm very passionate about diversity and inclusion, and it is important that we be inclusive because it helps our economics in our town, in our community, in our state, in our world. So it moved me, as it did many others of us. So I'm excited about it, and I encourage you all to visit it or at least look online. It's called the Peace and Justice Museum, Legacy Museum and Memorial, and you'll see more to come in Wake County on that. So excited about that. And then the other thing, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch more time on economic development because I will be joining the mayor on Thursday night for an update. We're going to do an economic development update with the chamber on Facebook Live. So stay tuned and we'll give you some more updates.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good report. Did you jump on the $10 million chance?
I didn't quite have enough to invest.
Good. Okay, Commissioner Medley, anything from Planning Board?
Actually, our meeting was canceled. So anything I would have said today would have been in reference to what was spoken about earlier with that, that development. So, no, we didn't have anything. We had a little breather that day, that night. So we will be back on December, I'm not sure exactly. It's the third Monday? Okay, thanks, Meredith. So the third Monday of the month, you can catch us online or in person.
I
That's
just
it.
thought of something, if you want to mention it, the affordable housing.
Oh, my gosh, yes. So, thank you, Commissioner Sutton. We did have an affordable housing meeting here. It was myself, Commissioner Sutton, Mayor Curran, Town Manager. I feel like I'm missing
Eric was there.
a couple of Wake County representatives. You know, there's still a lot of things that we're sorting out, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but just so that you know that we are trying to work on something here in Rolesville, an affordable housing plan, so that there's opportunity for everyone to participate in home ownership. So there are a couple of ideas that we are running around, but again, because we are still learning this process and we're getting a lot of assistance from the county, I'm just going to leave it at that, and just to let you know there's more information to come.
Very good.
And that's it for me. Thank you, and thanks again.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. How about Public Safety, Commissioner Sneed, anything?
The only thing that I have to report is that on Thursday night at 5:30, the town board and staff has been invited to the fire department for the Longleaf Pine Award presentation. It's going to be awarded to, on behalf of Rodney Privet, Chief Privet, by Sarah Crawford, and she will present it to his children, his fiance, and his sisters. So again, the entire board and town are invited. It's at 5:30 on Thursday, and a meal will be provided for you all afterwards. And this trip that we took to Alabama does not directly pertain to public safety, but I just want to say that I left agreeing with Sheila. When I got home, I thought that's something that everybody in the world needs to see. It was powerful, educational, heartbreaking, sobering, and angering all at the same time. So it's, again, just look it up online, like Sheila suggested, because it's something.
You need more than a day to see it, though, correct?
You do need more than a day. They said it takes about 3.5 hours to get through the whole thing. We had 2 hours, so I didn't quite get to finish it, but I think I'll have to go back. That's it for me.
Thank you for the update. And then Commissioner Austin, Veterans?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Hundreds of counties across our country join in demonstrating appreciation and support for our veterans in a new way called Operation Greenlight. So I want to thank everyone and to thank the town of Rolesville in supporting and making Operation Greenlight a success, which the county government buildings were illuminated in green from November 7 through the 13th. Also, the North Carolina Veterans Day Parade was on November 5th. Myself and Mayor Karen attended. And also November 10th, I attended the Congressional Veterans Briefing with Congressman David Price and Congresswoman Deborah Ross. They provided an update on their work in Congress for our local veterans community. They also shared resources that is available to Wake County veterans. Veterans can reach out to the Wake County Veterans Service Office as well as the DAV, the VFW, and also the American Legion. And then I haven't got an exact date and time for next month, but myself, the Navy Recruiting Command, along with Principal Phelan, is going to have our second meeting to discuss about a much-needed JRTC program coming to Rolesville. 'Cause it would be lovely to have a Christmas parade with our sailors in front, representing our town. So I'm going to work hard to make sure that happens. And that will conclude my briefing.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. A couple of communications from town staff. First one, J.G. Ferguson, Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Board members. Try to be brief tonight. I know you got a long agenda. Before I start, I'm going to go over kind of a highlight numbers from our 2022 year. But a lot of thanks needs to go to our Parks and Recreation staff for this. Garrett Sony, our athletic coordinator, Kristen Stafford, our program or special events coordinator, Allison, who is our new program coordinator, and and Eddie Henderson, who is our facilities and project coordinator as well. So they have done a lot of work, and you'll see a lot of increase in our participation numbers, but I want to make sure they get the credit they deserve. As they work very hard for the town and to make sure we have quality programming. So this year in athletics, we had 2,003 participants in our program. If you look back, 2019 was our second highest year with 1,800 participants. So as you can see, the growth is continuing, and we believe we are finally at our capacity of where we are athletically. We had about over 800 participants in the spring and over 800 in the fall, and we have almost 400 in the winter program. So again, a lot of credit goes to our staff for the ability they're able to do with the programming. Our cultural programs, again, we're continuing to grow in those programs. A lot of performing arts was a large number of participants for this program, along with our summer camp fell into this category as well. We had 725 participants this year in that program, and those different varying programs from visual arts, performing arts, senior programming, all fell into this category. In special events, attendance this year, as you all know, those attended those large events. We had a large turnout this year. Our Fall Fun Fest and 4th of July were our two largest events where we anticipated that's where the big majority of these numbers came from. But our estimates are we were just shy of about 19,000 participants or at attendance at all of our special events between the movies, concerts, litter sweep programs, blood drives. All of those programs are going into those numbers. So again, it was a great turnout from the community supporting these events, and we hope to expand upon that. And I know I went through these numbers very quickly tonight. In the January FYI, I'll have a lot of more detailed numbers for you to go through. And if there's anything specifically you'd like to see, please let me know, and I'll make sure to include those. Rentals in 2022, again, was another record year. We had over 250 rentals in 2022. 2019 was our next closest year with 186. So again, between the community center and the parks, they're starting to pick back up or beyond pre-pandemic numbers already. So again, it's a lot of growth in the rentals as well. And just finally to talk about some of the special events that are coming up in 2023. This isn't all the events, but these are just some that I just really want to highlight moving forward, as we're going to have the movies at the middle again this year. Our Egg Rush again at Rolesville Middle School. Music at Millbridge. Unity in the Community is a new program. It's similar to like a TED Talk. We're going to do different topics on diversity, inspiration, educational. Those will begin probably in May, so we're still putting the final pieces together on that program. The Memorial Mile, which we partner with the Garden Club on that, and that'll be on the Memorial Day event. We did that last year and it was successful, so we're going to look forward to doing that again this year. Trail Art, which is our award-winning program that we received this year, we'll do that again for the month of June. Juneteenth celebration will be an event we're going to do this year. We're partnering with the Thorn to Rose Foundation and Terry Simmons to help us with that event, so we're excited about that partnership. 4th of July event, obviously that's one of our big events. We're going to have that again this year. We're working to finalize the band for that, and we hopefully have that first of the year for you. In our Fall Fun Fest, we're looking forward to that again, as we had over 100 vendors this year. Again, that's just a highlight of some of the big events that we have. Other programs, we're going to have their bi-monthly litter sweeps beginning in January. Our blood drives will be bi-monthly beginning in February. Our Arbor Day celebration. Our tree lighting again next year, we're hoping to go back to the public view of a tree lighting next year is our goal. And then also looking to a family field day, again, just trying to get more engagement with the community throughout the year. So again, a lot of events, programs, so we hope to see a lot of folks out. That's it. If any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like we had this conversation, but maybe you'll remember. Has Jamrock ever performed here? Do you know Jamrock? You familiar with that band?
Well, I don't believe we have. No,
Okay,
ma'am.
I'll talk with you.
Okay, I'll get with you.
They're really good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is the Santa and the Bunny through town, that's over because we've opened back up to the public, is that right?
We are, thank you. We do actually have that coming up, I believe it's December the 17th, where the Rockin' Round Rolesville, where we are going to do it. That's backed by popular demand. We
I
had a lot
like
of
it,
phone
yeah.
calls, and so on the social media blast, you'll see that through our e-blast as well. But there's a similar route with times where you can go in and actually follow Santa through town. We have a Google app that allows us to track where they're at in real time, so you can kind of see. But we're guesstimating on times for neighborhoods, but it's been, again, backed by popular demand.
Yeah, that was
Good,
fun.
good,
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
That's the Saturday, the 17th, is that what?
Yes, sir.
On Saturday?
Very cool.
Not this Saturday, but the next. I believe that should be the 17th.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Good job. I mean, very good. I think you hit most everything we talked about in our retreat first of the year, so
Yes, sir.
good job.
Thank you.
Anything else, JG?
No, sir. I'm just trying to get out of the way.
And where is Eric? There's Eric over there. Eric Marsh, Public Works, about the most excited person in town. Just got approved to build his building, so.
Got
Yes,
$4.4 million. What are you going to
Yeah.
do?
we're gonna spend every penny.
I was going to mention earlier while you're getting that, Eric, when you mentioned the affordable housing, Eric was also there. And for the public that
Was
may
he
not
there,
know,
or he didn't make it?
you didn't make it. I thought you were there with
No,
us.
he
I
didn't.
was quadruple booked.
He had a lot
Well,
going
dang.
on.
Okay,
That's why I
never
didn't
mind.
say it.
But I still want to say Eric is our assistant town manager for folks that may not know, because I know sometimes we don't get to see you a lot. So glad you're here.
I'm somewhere in the trenches, quite literally nowadays. Good to see you all. It's a pleasure to be before you tonight to give you an update on from the Public Works Department. I will keep it short and brief, just like JG. The first thing I wanted to do was just shout out our Public Works guys. One thing that happened since the last time I was before you, that they were highlighted as a team for being employees of the quarter. The thing that made them stand out was they probably made Mike Rowe's list of top 10 with dirty jobs. When it comes to the plumbing and all the different things here in Town Hall, you all approved some money to help take care of that, actually starting tomorrow morning. But they literally were flushing that thing out manually in the manhole in the back. So we really just wanted to honor them for doing the dirty job and being there for us and keeping Town Hall up and making sure we have a good, clean work environment here at Town Hall. And so that's the thing I wanted to do was first and foremost, just honor them. Lisa did a great job with that. Treated them to lunch at the Fork over in Wake Forest, which actually has a really good lunch. And it's very popular amongst public works departments within the area. You see Wake Forest and everybody out there. So that's the main thing I wanted to do, was just honor them. We have some updates for you. I kind of look at public works as being the administrative side and the operations side. And so our administrative updates, as you just mentioned, the public works facility construction will be starting soon. We had a pre-kickoff meeting 2 weeks ago where we just talked through the ins and outs of it and made some tweaks to some of the aspects of the design, and also made some final decisions on some of those things that were still up for question based on the alternative bids we were given. So we just made some key decisions on that, and then just had a powwow with the contractor and just got on the same page with communications and permitting and all those different things. And so we've been able to map all that out, and we're looking forward to a smooth process. The kickoff for the project will be on Thursday, which is where we'll sign the official contract and notice to proceed. We've been waiting on funding to be, we knew the funding was coming, but we wanted to make sure it was locked down as far as paperwork wise. Other updates is that we're preparing to purchase and implement a work order software that'll help us better track some things as far as requests from the community, and also internal requests from staff when it comes to repairs around Town Hall. And so I'll be finalizing that memo this week and getting over to the town manager to pick our chosen software for that. And those additional things administratively we've been doing is looking at public works workflow so that we can optimize our processes going into next year. This time of year when we have less outside work to do is a time to start looking at systems and how we do our work. So we're looking at that, and we're benchmarking. The next two things are budget related, so we're benchmarking and analyzing our workload and staffing to kind of look forward to budget next year. And then also we're doing some analysis coming into December so that when the budget process starts next year, we can already be on top of the things we want to ask for and also planning for our new building. One thing that I missed on here was that I'm sitting down with JG and Eddie, and we're really going to be looking at what that partnership looks like between us and Parks and Recreation when it comes to operations, because there's a lot of overlap between our work. And so we just want to make sure that as we continue to grow as a public works department, we continue keeping Parks and Recreation as a priority and supporting those programs. Operations-wise, November was a big month. As Commissioner Austin had mentioned, did a lot around the veterans. And so Operation Greenlight, making sure those green lights are put up at Town Hall. But most importantly, we were able to move our Blue Star Memorial. And so for all the veterans that were used to it being over at the Cobblestone site, thank you, Cobblestone, for working with us as we removed that and transitioned it over here. So the temporary site, as we look forward to our town annex, is here adjacent to our current town hall. And so that was a process because it's not easy moving a memorial, and we still are working with the flagpole company. They're going to be coordinated with the general contractor of Cobblestone to remove that flagpole that is still there right beside the private insurance. And so we'll be eventually relocating that flagpole to our public works facility. And so that'll be living there. And last but not least, myself, Isaac, and Seth, we went out to Duke Energy, and we did some resiliency and preparation training, and we're able to also not play with, they wouldn't let us touch the control, but they have some really amazing technology that they're rolling out with these drones that go over 1.5 miles away from the user, and thermal imagery when it comes to looking at if a transformer is hot or cold or what have you, and then also as they continue to look at the power lines in more rural areas. So they're doing a lot of things on the tech front to make sure that they're ready. And so we're able to glean a lot of different things from them and strengthen our partnership with them and other municipalities in the area. And then the Public Works Department has been working on winterizing facilities and everything that comes along with the holiday season. So You see the snowflakes, you see the Christmas lights, you see, just even the lights around raising the tree and the lights around Main Street Park, and then the tree raising, and also just making sure everything was ready for the parade. And so that kind of wraps up everything for Public Works. While I have you, just wanted to encourage everyone who watches this, if you see anything out there, say something to us. We have Cognito form on the website. If there's a request around the Greenway or anything like that, just let us know. We're doing great for getting to those community requests when it comes to those items. And so we just encourage everyone to be our eyes out there as we can continue to grow and increase our capacity as staff.
Very good.
Y'all take care of a lot. I saw the
It's a whole
snowflakes
lot
up, and I was
for-
like, whoa, they just magically
It's a
appeared.
whole lot for these.
Like little elves. I never
these
seen them
four-
putting them
these-
up.
Well, we have 4.5, but it's a whole lot for these guys. yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank them for all the hard work.
I know you said the kickoff was Thursday, I think. Do you have a projected move-in date that you'll be moving in, do you think?
So the calendar that they have sets out for a late October, early November move-in date, with two things that are non-essential, which is the generator. The lead time for a generator is like 18 months.
Oh, my God.
And then there's one other thing when it comes to like furniture and such that might not be there, but we should be able to get the keys and move in by early November. They're pretty confident in it. There's not a lot of site work to do, so I don't.
So that's about 10 or 11 months then.
Yep.
Because that could change with the generator as time progresses and,
Yep.
Not
With
as
time,
much
it
of a
might come up,
crunch.
might show up sooner.
Yeah.
And so we'll see.
One of the items we talked about in the pre-meeting last week was groundbreaking, and the builder O'Connor is very interested in it, so you'll be getting your invitation when we pick that date.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah,
today
this-
was around about muddy.
Boy, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, this is the first building that the town has built for facilities, for people to work out of. Everything else we've either rented or converted some gas station or something, but, this is actually the first one, so
Outstanding.
very special.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, appreciate that. Now we can have the public invite you to be heard. I know we tricked you. We got you all signed up for the public hearing, and then we're going to have it later. That will be re-advertised, and you will have opportunity to do it all over again. Come visit us again. But I'm going to open it up. You don't have to have the sign-up sheet. If I know, Ann, you want to say something, come up and give me your name, address, and I'm going to just open it up, being that we had you sign up and we're not going to do it. If you don't have to, probably the public hearing, we're going to have to redo that later, so anything to do with the public hearing, we'll just table that to later. But you're welcome. You have 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say.
I can probably talk faster than that. I am Catherine Ann Faison Keith, and the reason I put Catherine on it is because my property is deeded Catherine Ann Faison Keith, thanks to my mom. But I do own property that borders 3 sides of the subdivision. I live at 4244 Burlington Mills Road. Immediately following the neighborhood Zoom that McAdams had in June, I did not comment. It got rowdy about the traffic, et cetera, and I wrote an email immediately following asking questions. To this date, I have never received a reply. I have made copies of my comments and of my email, and I have given them to Meredith to give you all and maybe to share with the planning board. The land that is being considered, I'm going to give you a little bit of history. It's my grandma and granddaddy's home place land that goes from Tom Creek's all the way back to where I sit. I have lived within a mile radius for 74 years. I know by my family farming the land just how much rock is there. I know that there will have to be some blasting permits, whether environmental or county or whoever does that. But my concern here is I have a private well 50 yards from the property line. What if the blasting hits a water vein or decreases my water pressure or does away with my well? It supplies 2 rental properties, 4900 Rocky Knoll Lane and 4904. What is my legal recourse if I am without water? I don't want to pay for the city of Raleigh. I don't know who would be responsible, and I would hope that that question could be asked and answered. I am also the tenant of a 60-foot easement of land that goes up beside of the property being developed. I have a road maintenance agreement with the county that I maintain that road, Rocky Knoll Lane. My concern is construction equipment, surveyors, whatever, using that path that I'm putting down the gravel and the rock and the whatever on. I would request that that road not be used. I do not know the definition of a type 2 buffer. I don't know whether that is green, trees, fence. I have no idea. But I am asking serious consideration for a fence to be put in place on the east, south, and west side of my property. And also the property owned by my niece and nephew, Tammy Faison Harris and Cliff Faison. All of these properties border the soft walking trails, the backyard of proposed homes, and the entrance and exits proposed adjacent to Tuckahoe 2. I have structures that are 15 foot from the property line. And again, I'm not going to really get into the traffic, but when you look at it, 3 entrance exits onto Burlington Mill Road is a lot. If you don't have but a 50-foot storage lane, you don't have enough room for persons to turn in and out of the subdivision along with the traffic that's going Centaur Road or that's going to individual residents or going to Tuckahoe. I would ask that maybe the length of the storage lanes be increased. We're talking about entrance B, which is on the side of the Pierce home place, the 5 acres that was sold separately, and I have heard possibly to be considered for an event venue, which is more traffic. To maybe consider doing away with B as an entrance and exit. It would be right beside of the fire station. The way they've got it a right turn only. Heading you back town toward Rolesville Middle School, carpool traffic is backed up to Rhymes and Reasons one way in a single line, shoulder parking going east in the other line. And this is morning and night. I just think that there's some other consideration that could possibly be given us rather than putting 3 roads off onto Burlington Mill. They are asking for an annex, and I'm not sure where the property line of whatever of the Alstonburg off of Lily Laws Road, some property back in there. If there was a possible way, and I don't know that there is, but if there was a possible way, Lily Laws Road is only 1/4 of a mile from the 4-lane 401. That would take traffic off of Burlington Mill, that would take traffic off of Forestville and put it directly on the 401. Maybe an entrance exit Drayton Reserve. That's where they're running the water line. that could be another out. And that is all of my comments, except to say that last night, my nephew, who owns the property, was making a right-hand turn into his grandson's home. A pickup truck following him, pulling a heavy-duty loaded metal trailer, slapped on brakes, and the trailer pushed that truck right into the side of his car. Total lost the car last night. He is sore, but no broken bones. But people fly up and down that road. 7 o'clock in the morning, we got somebody that leaves Tuckahoe and gets to 70 miles an hour before he gets to the proposed fire department land. I'd love to see more police out there or doing something. I don't know the answer, but I know that they think that one straight stretch of road by my house and on up toward my mother's house is a raceway. And that's exactly where we're talking about the roads going, or the entrance exit. But those are my comments, and I would love to go to the planning board and maybe talk with them, or I don't know the procedure as such, but I do have great concerns on my well and the privacy and the closeness of everything that is proposed.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. And only follow-up to comment I would say is we do have Meredith on the agenda almost at the end of the meeting, though. She is going to update us a little bit on blasting permits, but if you want to stay for that or listen online, whatever, but it'll be a while. Anybody else sign up to speak, or anybody else want to speak?
Not exactly sure.
I need your name, address, and...
Yeah, my name is Kelly Jennings. I live actually on the corner of Burlington Mills and Forestville Road at 3901 Burlington Mills Road.
Excuse me, Eric, could you bump that down a little bit, the thermostat? Thank you. Go ahead, sorry about that.
No problem. So my primary both question and concern exist in the fact that I have both a primary residence at that intersection and a business that I've operated at that intersection for March will be 20 years. We all know that traffic in and around that area is a major concern, and I have been made aware of some of the intermediate phase recommendations, which are based on the development plan set to take shape in and around 2028 if the proposed subdivision goes through. So my initial concern was that I had not even, I know adjacent property owners were notified about the proposed development, but were it not somebody sharing that with me and then me looking deeper into the project about what that would entail with road improvements, puts me in a position of saying, well, how will this affect A, where I live, B, a business that I've maintained in that location for 20 years, with the addition of extended turn lanes and the construction of, I think it is a new right-hand turn lane onto Forestville coming off of Burlington Mills. I mean, where is that going to come from? So these are obvious questions. I know the property across the street, my husband owns a business there that's been, a staple of Walker's Crossroads for, I know, my life and most of my family, and their life as well. So, our concerns are how we can be either a part of the process or kind of know what's going on in the period of time where we can ask the questions or be, a part of the process, or to, be familiar with, how is this going to affect us and what kind of timelines are we looking at? It's been a pretty hard place in business, for small business, the past few years anyway, and I'm looking and, planning for the future and thinking, well, I'm seeing on this paper that in, 3 to 4 years, how much of my land may or may not be required for what this development is proposing, to do where we're located. So we're certainly concerned with, the potential impact from a residential and a business standpoint on that. And I don't know, my questions may be better directed for, planning board or for the developers. That's something that I don't know. I really just found out I was coming here just today. So I don't, other than being familiar with the agenda packet, not really knowing exactly what questions to ask or, who to ask them. So any direction with that or recommendations that you have?
No, just thank you for coming. We're, at this point in time, we're just listening. So only suggestion I would have is the lady with the green shirt or sweater back there. She has all the answers. So, and
All right.
No pressure.
and
Well, all the answers are a good thing.
and she's here. She's the planning director for us.
Well, and certainly, with the development that's going on in the area, and I know not only with Tom's Creek, but Marshall Station, which is on the opposite side of the road from us, when you've got, any road improvements being done, you've got periods of time where access to business in particular is impeded. So, I don't know if there's any, potential coordination with these projects where you don't have, well, this intersection is going to be closed for this group to do what they're going to do. And then it's going to be closed again for this group, whether, there might be some coordination of efforts with that. But I'll definitely, be in touch with both Meredith or the planning board or, direct questions, because I have probably more questions than comments about it at this point. But
Should do you a good job. And by the way, what business do you have? Is it?
I own Harvest Moon, the
Okay,
gift store
Harvest
on the
Moon, yeah.
corner, and then my husband owns Heritage Market, which is the convenience store across the street. He and my
Is that
stepmother
used to
own
be
that.
Eden's or something?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then next door to me, my father's Barry Eden, so his property is, of course, would
Okay.
be impacted by the same road improvements. So
Okay.
we all have a few questions and obvious concerns
Yeah.
about that, but thank you.
Well, thank you for coming, and, it's going back to the planning board, so I would say our website, if you use our website, it has all that information on there. And probably got more information that you want to read for a while, but, you can find a lot, on there, but Meredith is there for you too, so,
Thank you.
no problem. Anybody else got anything? Okay. Okay, come on, George, I hadn't seen you in a while. Come.
Signed up for it. Okay.
That's all right, come on. I hadn't seen you in a while, we got a few minutes. Tell me what's on your mind tonight. Just state your name and address for the record, you know how that goes. Probably everybody in town knows George now.
Name is George Garcia, 524 Averett Road. This past Friday, we had the pleasure of having NCDOT come to our property, in front of our property, to inform us that there's a plan for the traffic plan and some changes that are going to have to be made at the intersection of Jones Airy and Averett Road for the preserve. And I think I recognize about 3 or 4 of you that were originally in the decision process when Frank Eagles was the mayor here at the time, the approval of that particular subdivision. It was property that was owned by several folks, Robert Jones and the Perry family owned some of that land there. When you all approved that subdivision, it created a problem, a traffic problem. And it has landed on our lap in our property. They're going to cut a 250-year-old tree, and it's going to impact our property front in front of our house, potentially impacting a wastewater drain line that we have in the front there. Okay? Now, when I see some of the plans that they have, there's no impact to the property across from us, owned by Wake Forest Investments, 525 Averett, or 604, or 605, very limited. So it looks like we may have been singled out. We feel that way. And 4 of you were involved in that decision when Frank Eagles was the mayor here. Okay? All this additional traffic, all the subdivisions that were approved in that time period because there were familiar people from the area. they went ahead and clear cut all the trees, both at Chandler's Ridge and this preserve. You could see the piles of roots up there. So it's something to bear in mind that when you make a decision like that, it lands on someone else's yard. Hopefully, some of the ones that you're making now may land on your front yard so that you get a feel for the downstreams of your decisions. We're not happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that. Okay, anybody else? State your name and address for the record, if you would.
My name is Lindell Perry, 2017 Forestville Road. I just got some concerns. I live right there at the easement where the entrance is going to be on Forestville Road. And I know you're talking about putting a stoplight there. I cannot get out of my driveway now. They're talking a 4-lane. I don't know if I'm asking the right people, but I'm letting you know to be concerned. Is there going to be a buffer there? I don't know. And talking to the lady that was talking about the wreck they had last night, we had a wreck on Forestville Road also. The traffic is horrible already. I've been in touch with the sheriff. I called sheriff last week. I got off the phone with him today, and they said they're gonna be manning that area. So hopefully, in consideration of that, you know, and I'm sure they're gonna have to, if they do it four-way, they're gonna have to take out my trees. So that's my concern. I know traffic. I told my wife, she just got so frustrated, she just wouldn't even come. But I told her I would come and listen. But we do have concerns on Forestville Road, that entrance there. It's gonna be a mess. It already is. So I just hope that whoever's the powers to be will consider that. Because even if y'all, you know, just knowing, if y'all put yourself in my position, and I know it may be out of your hand, I don't know. But there's gonna be a problem there. I can see that already. The traffic is horrible already. So I just wanted to show my concerns on that, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
All right.
Give me your address again. I know you.
017.
2017
Yes.
Burlington Mill.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Forestville Road. Lake
Forestville Road.
Forest.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got you.
yeah, that long stretch there.
Got you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, thank you. All right. Appreciate everybody coming out, and, you know, you'll have an opportunity to do this again in the near future, so. So with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Board, as you can see, there's 5 items on the consent agenda. Most of it is routine. I will entertain a discussion, a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. I hear a motion second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes, Madam Clerk. First item, board action is number 2, legislative hearing, MA 22-11, which is 207 North Main Street. And I see Mike ready to go up there, so.
Give me one moment to get the PowerPoint going. Yeah. This is supposed to be ready to go after Tom's screen.
Sorry, because I had this at the front.
I looked down for a second, I looked up, everybody was gone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
Again, Mike Ellebarger, Senior Planner in the Planning Department. Item C2 on the agenda is map amendment 22-11 for 207 North Main Street. This is a map amendment or rezoning requesting to change the zoning from the existing general industrial conditional zoning district to the general commercial, GC, zoning district. Property owner here, it's a 1 acre lot. And due to the timing of the application, this is being reviewed under the newer land development ordinance. Here we go. Big picture vicinity map here, big picture of town, Rogers Road, Main Street. The site here is on North Main Street on the west side.
Is it where the barber shop and the State Farm are
Correct,
right
ma'am.
now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I need
This
that
is a
visual.
little zoomed in a little bit closer here on some of that area there. So right, our site is here. It has that existing building, multi-tenant building, has a barber shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get to it eventually, but, you know, it's just got a weird zoning on it. Is that kind of?
That's my punchline, sir. Yeah.
Oh, man. Stole his
I'll get
thunder.
I was gonna say stole it.
Yeah, I know the question was generating now, so.
Let me make the case. So again, general location here, developed site, existing building with several businesses currently in it. One of the monument businesses just adjacent to it. So again, the existing zoning is the general industrial, shown here in the purple hue, and also it's a conditional zoning, and staff's investigation into the records finds that in 2004, a special use permit was approved by the town board at that time about operating hours, and this is shortly after the building and the site was developed, I believe. And so it was a bit of a test case to extend the hours. They originally approved through that SUP to close at 8, or sorry, no, I think it was 8 p.m., and then the request was to extend it to midnight. So they did a test case. A report was brought back actually 6 months later. It was found that there was no nuisance or no issues, no complaints due to the extension of the hours of operation. And so those hours of operation moved forward. When the land development ordinance was adopted in 2021, these older SUP condition zonings were translated as CZ. So that's why we believe it appears as GI-CZ. So there wasn't a unique zoning condition case that the town board approved years ago that had a list of conditions like you're used to currently. It was the translation from an SUP and its conditions of approval to the new nomenclature of under the LDO. So that explains the CZ. The request tonight is to before we get to that, future land use map in the comprehensive plan shows this site, and again, all the multiple properties you see there in red as commercial. So this one piece of North Main Street on that west side, that is not strung with existing older homes, et cetera, because to the further north, a little bit west, there are some residential properties, and those are planned for residential. But this little pod here is identified and has been identified since 2017 as best for commercial. On top of that, the Main Street Vision Plan, when that was created in 2018, meant to help the community grow and reestablish a town center, et cetera, and that plays also into the land use categories of commercial that affect this. Staff did consider the transportation impacts, and again, because this site is already fully developed and there is no project or any conditions being proposed with this rezoning request, there is not anticipated to be any change to the property per se. It is just a change to the underlying zoning district, and it is technically a down zoning because industrial zoning would technically be more intense than commercial zoning. Looking at the general commercial district in the land development ordinance, I think we've shown this slide once before in another case, but there's 37 by right uses, 8 by special use permit, general development standards, 35-foot height, building setbacks, parking buffers, landscaping are all required. But again, let's remember this site is fully developed as it is. So staff's recommendation and findings that the general commercial is a predominant zoning district of the various non-residential properties all along Main Street, both the north end and the south end. This request aligns with the Main Street Vision Plan's principal goals to, again, get to commercial zoning and commercial uses and development along Main Street. And for all those reasons, staff is recommending approval. So in summary, this is technically a down zoning. It is to change the underlying zoning to the more appropriate general commercial, which is endorsed by several of the town's adopted plans. And it goes back to the kind of why was it zoned industrial? That's part of the town's history, I suppose. But today, in the way that the property is functioning today with the tenants that they're seeking to get into that building and make it usable and an asset to the community, the commercial zoning district would fulfill that best. That concludes my report.
Any question before I open up, any question for staff before I open up the hearing?
I have a question. So general commercial, I feel like we talked about this recently on another property. Why wouldn't it be conditional zoning? Commercial, I don't know how you say it, general commercial, conditional zoning.
Yeah. So the LDO lays out zoning district options in multiple ways. Base or standard zoning districts, conditional districts, or the mixed-use districts, your TC, NC, et cetera. It's an applicant's choice if they wish to make their rezoning a conditional zoning and put some list of things. Most usual you see is a restriction on certain uses. Going back to those 37 permitted uses, they could remove a whole host of those that either they don't want to develop anyway, or that maybe would cause some concern from the town. Then there's other restrictions that they can put on there or add things on top of what the LDO minimally requires. This request is just a straight rezoning to all the development standards.
Right. So when I saw this, I was back to that case we looked at, I want to say it was the beginning of November.
Yeah.
Over here across the street.
Yep.
Where they wanted general commercial as well, which I hate to use the word control, but I think that we need to be very cautious on our main street on what we're allowing to go on there.
Yeah.
Versus it being an applicant deciding, oh, we're not going to put this, this, and this. That's why I like conditional zoning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. But under the LDO, it's not a compulsory element.
What does that mean?
It's not required minimally for an applicant to make an application. Now, the board ultimately has the choice to approve or not approve a case, whether it's conditional or not. But there is, the LDO allows an applicant to request a straight or a by right zoning district without conditions.
Right, but it's those 37 uses that are permitted,
Yes,
right?
and all the base standards that the LDO has for development, yes.
I just don't understand. I feel like that's wasting the applicant's time if they're going to be guessing what might get approved versus us saying it's conditional and then they bring it to you and you make a decision.
In this case,
What's
there
the difference?
on this property, there is no project entailed, as different from the 503 South Main case from a month ago, which was a vacant property. This is a
Right.
fully developed property.
Correct. But are there empty buildings where someone could come and put a business in a space?
There is.
I think there is.
I think there's some tenant spaces, yes.
The restaurant, there was a restaurant there.
Yes, and
It's commercial there already, so.
one of the reasons the applicant is bringing this forth is because for a restaurant to go into GI zoning would require a special use permit, be processed and approved. And as you're familiar, those require a quasi-judicial hearing. Now the Board of Adjustment will be hearing those. So it actually restricts many of the common uses that you would envision going into such a
I
property.
have no problem moving it from industrial. My question's on the CZ part of it.
Yes.
CZ versus general commercial for future use. It's on our main street. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Sure.
I have no problem moving it from industrial. That's a no-brainer for me. But the question is the conditional zoning versus it just being GC.
Sure.
Because it wouldn't impact the businesses that are already there, right?
Well, it depends what those conditions are, and of course, conditions are voluntarily created by the applicant
Yeah,
and proposed to the
is the
board.
applicant here?
No, I'm saying
I don't
people that are
believe
already
she's here
there.
in the audience tonight.
I do have a question with that restaurant being there for several years. There's always been a restaurant there. So is this zoning going to prohibit a restaurant from coming back there?
No, GC would permit it to go in, no problem. The current GI zoning, eating establishment, it's called in the LDO, requires a special use permit to be approved.
Now, but it didn't like a year ago or 2 years ago.
I believe that's the case, right? Under the UDO,
Okay.
prior to 2021, and that's the only, and I'm aware that there was a restaurant in there, and I believe it came in during the UDO time, and so that may be the answer as to why it was a by right use at that point in time. Today, it's not a by right use under the LDO.
I guess I'm a little concerned as well because I'm thinking as to what's over there now. There's a barber shop, insurance company, I think like a paint shop or
Church.
interior.
Church.
No?
Yeah, there's
It's a church.
There's church offices there too, I think.
church offices, but not a church itself. Right, so there's offices. I don't know, I think back on how, where the post office is currently on Rogers Road, and you have the gym there, and you have all your pizza places, and I know the gym was, and I'm not complaining about the gym, but I know there were conflicts with the gym being there, right, so.
And those properties are zoned GC, and I believe all the uses that you just described are by right permitted uses. I don't think there's a.
The only holdup for me
GC
is
for
it
all.
doesn't, that those properties don't sit on Main Street.
Yeah.
If this is considered our downtown corridor that we're creating, I just think it would be wise for the board to have some, instead of an applicant applying under those 37 and they come in here, we go, well, that doesn't make sense.
What do you mean it
gives more
doesn't sit on Main
flexibility.
Street? I'm a little confused.
Pizza
post-
Hut,
the post
those
office is
places
on
are,
Main
they're on
Street.
Rogers Road. I'm talking about Main Street.
Okay. Right, but I don't think I was taking away from Main Street versus the side street. I'm just looking at it from a commercial perspective.
I'm just saying commercial versus conditional zoning commercial. Still commercial.
Right.
Do you understand my question? Maybe I'm not making sense.
I understand your question, and I understand the board's maybe better sense of, when you have some conditions, you have some sureties of what's going to happen in the future. And with the standards, without the conditions, you have the LDO to rely on. And that begs a whole bigger question of, is the LDO in a condition that the board is comfortable with? As far as the uses, the use development standards, et cetera. Or is that where perhaps focus should be shifted to make the general commercial zoning district unto itself?
I think what she's saying, if I listen to what she's saying, is along Main Street, we want to be more careful with conditions. So I guess we could put in our comprehensive land use plan or whatever is used, that area would have to be conditional zoning rather than just straight zoning. Can we do that? Can that change be made in a map or something?
No, every North Carolina ordinance must provide the option for the applicant to bring forward a general zoning option. Of course, the board could easily have signaled at its meetings that it's unlikely for those to be approved. And I believe the staff has signaled that to applicants who have brought forward these sort of general zoning applications. They do so at their own risk, and that's their choice. And then the staff just has to process it the way it's presented.
Right.
Can I ask, in comparison to Pine Glo? Because I remember when they came forward, they had some exclusions, like it would never be a daycare or a tattoo parlor, or not parlor, but whatever.
Yes.
They had those exclusions in theirs. Did they? I always thought it came from when they first applied. Who put those exclusions in there?
Conditions are always brought voluntarily by the applicants.
Right, I'm saying, that's what I was saying earlier. They can decide versus them coming forward under the conditional. But if you're saying, hey, we could I just feel like you're wasting people's time if you come and you say, this is our Main Street, and they're going to bring forth, why not just tell them it's under conditional zoning? But if it has to be that way legally, then.
Well, it has to be in the ordinance. It's still the board's decision to vote yes or no. It is uncommon, for example, in Wake County or anywhere in the Triangle, for general zoning cases to be approved. When they are approved, it tends to be the exception to the rule. If this circumstance the staff has presented to you today looks like an exception, then perhaps the board feels comfortable moving forward. But my guess would be that the staff advised the applicant to submit this as a conditional zoning district and likely advised the applicant to come, and neither of those things happened.
Well, it worked out with Pine Glo, so
I tell you,
I think it sounds fine.
Anything else you got?
No, I'm happy to go a little bit more into the analysis of this site, and maybe in your minds, if you want to compare and contrast with some of those other projects and sites that we've seen, and maybe the differences to them. But I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah, my concern is it's on Main Street. That's my big hang-up right there.
All right, let's do the public hearing, or legislative hearing, and then bring you back for closing. I'm sure the questions will still be there. So see if anybody's here to speak for or against. So I'm gonna open up the legislative hearing for MA 22-11, 207 Main Street. Is there anybody in favor that want to come speak in favor? Any opposition? Anybody want to come speak in opposition? Any general comments from the public? I guess the board has an option here. If we close it and deny it from what we know tonight, it's a 6-month wait. Is that right, David?
I would defer to the planning director if she knows that off the top of her head. I believe it is a 6-month wait, and I believe there is a waiver provision, but I would need to check.
Thinking it's a 6-month wait on the board.
That is correct. Would it be all right if I added just a touch of background
Sure.
on this case?
Sure.
Michael McFarland, economic development manager, reached out to this property owner when a restaurant was talking to us about going into that shopping center. And as Mike said, a restaurant in general industrial or eating establishment is a special use permit. And Michael saw the opportunity to make it easier for commercial businesses to come into that shopping center and suggested to the property owner that they rezone their property from industrial to commercial. So we actually did not advise the applicant to do a conditional zoning. Absolutely understand your concerns. I just wanted to share that little bit of background.
Yeah, and I think for future, from what I'm hearing from the commissioners, I mean, if they make it a condition of all 37, and then when we get in here, we can say we don't want the whatever.
I mean, that's sure. There might
Michelle
be
said, but
there might be some kind of tenants we prefer not to have.
you know what I'm
in order.
saying? Just how, I'm not. I think what the commissioner is asking for is a little bit more control on Main Street.
Okay.
So, so what do you advise us to do as a planning director? Do you want to? We could hold the public hearing open till we get somebody here to speak on their behalf, or what do you advise between the two of you?
I defer to your wisdom. I think that was a cool idea, though.
I believe the staff's objective opinion is that the application conforms to the LDO. And so what's left is a policy choice for the board. So objectively, this is within the realm of good planning. The question is whether a general zoning district and all the things that are permitted by right in our LDO are appropriate for that site. If the answer is yes, in the board's judgment, you could vote yes. And if no, because you can't impose any conditions upon this kind of an application, you would be forced to vote no and hope that the applicant would resubmit with a conditional zoning application. This is the same answer that you got from me on the last case.
Yeah, I was hoping not to hold this commercial. I'm guessing they want to put a business in there, hold it up for 6 months.
But did they know that option? Based on what you just shared, I don't know that they did. It doesn't sound like it.
With the conditional option, I'm not sure that even came up in
Right. You
our
see
discussions.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't know or understand that to be an option. But I'm
But
just,
it will be a 6-month delay if we deny.
They can request a waiver that, and you.
Well, they actually question a different zoning if they can,
Yeah, it would be a different case.
so they can just bring it back.
Right, there wouldn't be a waiver. It's not as though they're asking the board to vote on the same question again.
Because that's what my only concern. I didn't want to have to.
So it would still be 6 months if they come back with a
No,
different case?
they come back with a different zoning, it would.
I was thinking this is the same case. If they request a different zoning district, which is what it sounds as though members of the board would prefer, there would be no wait because it would be a different case.
All right, so I have a quick question. So how would that be decided on what the board would approve versus what the board wouldn't? Are we going through that list saying no, no, no? Yes, yes,
No,
yes?
if it's one of those lists, then
That's
it's,
up to them to bring to us.
Yeah, they take the first stab at it.
And that's how
They,
they did it, correct? Okay.
I suspect staff's advice is going to be, look at Pine Glow's rezoning.
yeah.
Look at what, I'm sorry?
Look at Pine Glow's rezoning conditions.
Or
And
the
that's what I'm
one
saying.
across the street that
Or
is
the one
working
across
on
the
it.
street.
because, we want something.
Well, Pine Grove went a step further because they came back with their list. So it
So I
went,
just want to get clarification from my understanding. So they're coming with a request for GC, and we can't just turn that to CZ.
We cannot.
They'd have to come back. I
No,
got you.
they have to do it. It may not
I
be
got you.
anything but a technicality that pushes them back 1 month. I don't know how far. I would advise Section 5.1 of the LDO is where the table is of all the permitted uses.
That's what I'm
So there, you may already be looking at it. It's a give and a take. So they're losing some of those industrial uses, which is good for the long-term downtown Main Street, and they are gaining a large number of commercial uses. And perhaps that's okay, in which case you could vote yes today. Perhaps the basic LDO is okay, but if not, then conditional zoning would be the only path.
Meredith, did they have something in mind? I'm not asking what it is, but they do? Okay.
Looking at a possible restaurant tenant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Got the name of it. Okay, thank you, Murdo. Good content. I'm going to close the public hearing, but I'll give Michael a chance if you got any remarks before I turn it over to the board for decision.
Nothing additional to add, and thank you to Meredith for
Thank you.
for
Thank
giving
you.
some of those backgrounds.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
If the board would like to avoid voting no, the board could also just determine under your list of motions to table this indefinitely and see whether the applicant withdraws and submits something new.
Yeah.
Totally okay.
That's up to the board. You got it's up to you now. If you feel comfortable, I think the attorney had advised you, if you feel comfortable with those 30, I think all of us agree we want commercial there, so it's not a,
No, it's no question on
it's not a thing about not zoning it commercial, it's just under what kind of conditions. If you feel is comfortable with those 37, let's go ahead and approve it. If you feel that in the Main Street conditions, we need to at least talk about and have conditions put on it, then we can do several ways. We can deny it, or either we can table it, as David says. And
Does anyone know the 37 off the top of their head?
I'm looking right now.
so
We
with
can read
that, I will give everybody an opportunity to make a comment.
Well, I just want to ask, do you know the 37? Is it a quick list?
I believe 1 month ago I had a slide with all 37 plus the 8.
I have the
SUV.
list.
Yeah.
Not in front of me at the moment.
I don't know that we really want to read. I'll read them if you want.
No, I think we should, only because, just give some clarity on what we're getting ready to vote, yay or nay, or hold off.
So I'm going to move to
Wait, I really
table
wanna hear that
rezoning
list.
request MA 22-11, 207 North Main Street
Second.
Read the 37.
indefinitely.
Yeah, right? And that's indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I got a motion
I
on the
just didn't wanna hear
table
a
to
no
avoid it,
without-
Second.
table it, and I got a second from Commissioner Austin. Is there any other discussion on tabling it?
Oh, I was going to recommend that everybody look at the 37.
Yeah. I just think it's fair to not say no without looking at the 37.
That's fine. All right, any other discussion?
No, sir.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. So make it really clear, Michael, the board is really looking for them to do this zoning, but they just want to take a look at the conditions around
Yeah,
that.
I think I got the go by. Thank you all.
I remember
And
some of
and
them.
they will probably see some that they said, we don't want there either, so
It won't be difficult. I have
and
no
make
doubt.
it easy. So thank you, Michael, appreciate that. Thank you, Meredith. Okay, we now have the 23 board calendars on the agenda. Do we want to approve those? It doesn't say. Is that what you want to do? So y'all took a look at them. I think they did a good job of trying to avoid holidays and all those type of things. I looked at it earlier. Did we have one for, I didn't recall seeing one. Did we have one for the Board of Adjustments?
Yes,
It is in there?
I think it was. I have no mouse, so it
Let me
takes me
look real
forever to
quick.
find stuff.
Yep, there it is. Okay. It's-
What do they meet? How often do they meet? Only when there's a case, right?
Once a month is going to be in January, starting January the 10th, looks like. So that's good. I
But right
want-
now, it isn't though, correct?
They're not meeting unless, right now they're on an as-need meetings schedule, so this is good. So I will entertain a discussion or a motion on the 2023 board calendars.
Just got a question, sir, more of a comment. The time, could we change the time from 7 PM to 6 PM?
For what?
Town board meetings.
I think unless they're, you know, I know some people had a problem at working,
I can't do
you
6
know,
every time. It's too much.
so I think.
It's hard,
that's-
especially if people go back to work.
And I
deal with
know the public, you want to have a time where the public can come too, and some of them don't get into town till after 7 or around 7, so.
Especially the traffic. Traffic is tough.
But I'm open, I mean, if that's, you know.
But
if
the
you
work
wanna-
session, definitely, 6 o'clock still.
Yes, we usually need more time for those.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
work
the work
sessions, right.
sessions.
Okay.
And they don't require the citizens to have to be here. I mean, neither one does.
So do we make work sessions a standard 6 o'clock thing, or
I thought we did.
is it?
You have been, yes.
Well, I know we've been doing that. So,
I intend to continue unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay, sounds good.
But there, we're
Any-
not making a decision.
Any other thoughts, Mr. Austin? No?
No, sir. I tried.
You tried, that's right.
Everybody don't work in Rolesville, sorry.
So we need a motion for this?
We do.
I move to accept the 2023 board calendars as noted in the
Second.
agenda.
Oh.
No, it's fine.
Got a motion, and seconds, any other discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Dan, you
Unanimous,
wanna-
Madam Clerk. And now we got item 4, advisory board appointees. I think the planning board committee is ready to make a nomination recommendation.
Is Parks and Rec going at all?
No.
No, they're going to do it next month, I think.
Okay. All right, so we had 5 applicants and 3 seats available. I'm not even going to make this long. So we did pick our 3 to fill the seats. We have, do I need to mention the name of the person, or should I just say who, or? Okay, so,
Maybe a little brief description.
okay, so the first one we have is Davian Cross. Davian's currently serving on the board. He's completing his first term. He brought a lot of energy, a lot of good questions. He came in as a novice, and I personally think that he's added a lot to the board. He wanted to apply again for another term. I just think he's a good fit for the board to stay on. So he's one of our applicants that we would like to see stay. Then we had,
I believe he lives on Brown Circle, which is one of the older neighborhoods in town. So he's like a older
Yes.
neighborhood representative.
yes,
And this would be his last term.
no, this would be his first official term,
Okay, so
because he has 2. It didn't, the first one,
didn't count.
correct.
Okay.
So he has one more opportunity after this, should he choose to apply. Second, we have somebody who's new to Rolesville. She's a member of the local chamber. She lives in, one of the newer neighborhoods in town. And her issue was she just wanted to do what's right for Rolesville, try to step up and do what she can to be a part of the process. That would be Tisha Lowe. Her line of work is program and project management. And like I said, she just wanted to be involved and see what she too could add to the board. So she was our second applicant that we gave a thumbs up to. And then our third applicant,
Where does she live at? You got an address?
Carlton Point.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then our third applicant is coming, we thumbs up to Derek. I'm not even gonna try to say the last name, I never do.
Verstegen.
Yes. He, well, he's was with, what's that board called? Parks and Rec.
Advisory Board.
Yes, and he's also with,
Oh, sorry.
It was Open Space and Greenway.
yes, thank you, because I always say it wrong. So, and again, I think, what he has done for Rolesville in the past, I always say Derek is not afraid to get dirty, in the mud, in the weeds. Somebody has to do it. Thank you, Jesus, right? So, we know that Derek has a lot of energy in him, and he's a very passionate person. So we're hoping that what he does and how he represents with the boards that he is with, the committee that he is on, he can bring that energy level to planning, just like, a little bit.
Is Derek here? No.
Well, we have two of the applicants here, but we've never had them come up and speak, so that's why I just didn't say who they were, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But I will say that we had the other two applicants, it was really hard to decide with those two, because they too are really looking forward to working with the town on some level. So I do feel that there's still opportunities for them to serve. And I'll just let, I'll speak with Robin and Paul about that after the meeting. But yeah, so those are our three candidates. One lives in the Villages of Rolesville, one lives at Carlton Point, and the other one lives, what is it? Brown?
Brown Circle.
Yeah. So they all live in different areas, which is good, having people living in different locations. And again, they all are passionate about doing their part and being involved and learning. I think it's always important when you want to learn more about your community and be a part of that. So those were the three choices that Dan, who partnered with me on the interviews, those are the three that we came up with.
So y'all bringing that together as y'all's nomination from the committee?
Correct. Those would be the three. So it would be Tisha Lowe, Derek,
Verstegen.
and thank you, and Davian Cross.
Yeah.
But the other two candidates, like I said, they are really great people too. They had a lot of good ideas. That's where we were.
Yeah.
Here's the other one.
Cool. All right, so you making a motion?
I make a motion that the three candidates that I mentioned, do I need to say their names again? I can?
No.
No, thank you.
Good.
Okay, that those three candidates.
As noted.
We accept them as filling the empty seats that we currently have on planning board.
So they're fulfilling terms.
Not quite. One of the terms is 1 year into that term. There's 2 years left on that term. The other two are 2 3-year terms.
New appointees.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Actually,
Have you
Davian
identified
is,
which one's going to be?
We
waived?
have.
And who is it?
Okay, so we're looking at Tisha Lowe filling a new term, and Davian filling a new term, and Derek picking up the balance of the 2 years on the other term, because he has experience already working with the town, so there's still that history that he has. The other ones, Davian is already on the board, so I'd like to keep him on the board with a new term, and
And I would
Tisha's new.
include that in your motion, then,
Okay,
so we have that for the record.
okay.
Just
So
say so
what I
moved.
just said, please include that.
So moved.
Yes, thank you.
okay.
And thank you for bringing that up, Kelly. I wasn't sure.
Second, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
If we're done.
So I hear a motion and a second. Is there no discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, so thank you. We know you, Derek, you talk all the time, so, but I would like to hear from Ms. Lowe, if you want to come up and have any words to the board.
I wasn't going to call you out because I know the process seems like it's a
No,
little different
I
each
get the
time we
dirty
do it,
job
so-
doing that.
It's
so-
okay. Thank you for having me. My name is Tisha Lowe. As Ms. Medley stated, I moved to Roseville last year. I am a small business owner. I own a coaching and consulting firm. I moved from Wake Forest, and I was very active in Wake Forest. I actually sat on the planning board in Wake Forest for a little bit, and so I'm excited to be a part of Roseville.
Good.
Any questions for me?
No, well,
Okay.
Good having you.
Thank you.
Do you know Danielle Wilkes?
I do. Actually, I met you at her
I feel
summit.
like I know you through her.
Yeah, I met you at her summit back in August.
Ah, I got
Yes.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you looked familiar.
And you know the
Welcome.
sorority sisters too.
Thank you.
Oh, they're sorority sisters, the red pants.
And I want to also say, if I can, that I want to thank Robin for helping us pull this together, and the time and energy that she gave to this project here of, because, we had that empty seat since August, and here we are in December, so I'm so happy that she stuck with us and helped us through this process. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Derek really doesn't get to say anything?
Oh, my God, we want to go home.
We know.
I want to go home.
Anybody don't know Derek, so.
There may be people that
give him his,
don't know Derek.
give him his minute.
You
2
may give
minutes.
you a minute.
Come on, Derek.
I'll give you a minute, Derek. 1 minute.
It's a new role. New appointment.
Yes, well, thank you very much. I am looking forward to working with the planning board and getting my feet dirty, as
Right.
Michelle Melody likes to.
You better say medley.
You better say Verstegen. You got 3 opportunities.
Okay, all right.
You know I'm teasing you.
I know.
But no, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to contributing, continuing to contribute to the town and everything that we're trying to accomplish here. So, and I will be quiet for a little while.
Don't worry, I'm not saying, I would never tell anybody to
I
be
know,
quiet.
I know.
But you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
But I want to
I got to listen and learn is what I need to do, because it's a
Right,
whole
and
new
we-
area for me to get acquainted with. So there's going to be a lot of listening before I start, trying to figure out how I can really, help out.
But I want to share something about Derek, because I follow sometimes, when I have time to follow social media and stuff that's out there. Sometimes it's not always positive. And I like the way that Derek will go out there and put the facts and
Thank you.
encourage people
Appreciate that.
to read the notes. And he'll put the notes and he'll put quotes out there to really get people off of the just opinions and here's the facts. So thank you for that. I've seen you do that
Thank you
for several
recognizing
years.
that. I
so
do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Derek. How long were you on the other board?
5 years, I think. 4 or 5 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a good time. Yeah, good time.
Well, thank you for serving on that board.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
and he's still going to continue with the committee that he's
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Open space and green.
Yes.
As long as they appoint them, that's the thing,
Easy to appoint yourself.
I can't do that no more. Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Commissioner Austin, for helping her out there and working together. And Paul, I think you were waiting on one.
So yeah, I'll put that out there actually too. So we have 2 open positions right now on Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and we received 1 applicant. So I'd rather fill them all at once. We do have a student position as well, but we're just looking for more applications. So if you're interested, get on our website and put your application in. We'll take a look at it.
So wait, you need 2 more adults?
Yeah.
When's that closing?
Does it have to be, is that open? Or is that still, oh, it's
Yeah,
still
it's
open?
open.
Okay.
Yeah, we extended it.
All right,
so.
so,
Maybe reach out to a couple.
yes,
that didn't-
these, I think these, I just didn't want to say it on camera.
No, that's fine.
but Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
I'll just show you that and take my notes. You know what I mean? I didn't want to put anybody on the spot without speaking to them first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I hadn't said anything.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm not sure I'm going to do much to introduce this other. I'm going to let Dave introduce this next topic. I do know, I do know, we've got a situation, April, there's going to need to be a couple remote meetings. So I think we want to try to implement something that should be able to participate coming up. So what's your ideas and how we're going to do this, Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Back in March of 2020, the board adopted a remote participation policy that would allow a commissioner to participate on a limited basis in our meetings when they were unable to physically be present. The policy that was adopted back in March was then amended in April when the North Carolina General Assembly provided an emergency power to have electronic meetings. That provided a tremendous amount of flexibility during the heat of the COVID pandemic. The state of emergency order of the governor has now been lifted, and remote participation and electronic meetings themselves no longer are authorized by statute. And if we're going to deal with that, we have to return to our local policy. At the time we adopted the policy in 2020, the idea was that it was a test case, and one of our commissioners at the time suggested that it sunset on the last day of 2020. And it did. And that didn't matter because we had the electronic meetings statute to fall back on. Now that that isn't available, it comes to our attention that we need to bring back perhaps the remote participation policy that we had. I had a conversation with the mayor and with the town manager, and while I thought this could be an item that went back on the consent agenda, as far as I was aware, we had not had any problems with it. The mayor did suggest, because it had been a question I think that had been raised when we first looked at this, and the mayor was aware of at least another community that had a problem, that one of the grounds to participate remotely, you are to have grounds. You're supposed to have a reason, and those reasons are listed. Those reasons range from an illness to military service obligations, but one of the grounds for good cause is personal, employment, or town-related travel of such a distance as to make physical attendance impractical. At least in another community in the state, it appears that that reason had been abused. And so the only substantive amendment that is in the package is to limit the personal or employment travel reason to a maximum of 2 times in a calendar year. If you needed more than that, it would have to go to the fallback provision, which requires a vote of the commissioners to allow you to participate remotely. That's the only change to the policy that has been in place. I don't know, Commissioner Sneed, Commissioner Alston, I don't know if you were on the board at the time of its original adoption, but I don't know that it's really been used more than once or twice, maybe once back then. But I'm available to answer any questions you may have about it. Otherwise, certainly bringing it back into force requires just a motion.
So I have a quick question.
Yep.
So if it's travel-related work-wise and you use up your 2, and say like just a couple of days ago, if they had missed their plane and couldn't make a meeting, does that still count towards work, or is that still a vote by the board?
It's personal or employment is twice a year a good cause. So that would be 1 time, so that would be fine.
No, I'm saying if it's already twice and something
If
like.
it's already twice, then you would notify the town manager or the town clerk, and the board would have to vote before you're permitted to participate. That's right. The catch-all, just to read it, the catch-all for a board vote is such other good reasons, such other reasons constituting good cause as may be shown and confirmed by a majority vote of the members physically present at the meeting.
Yeah. You know, I think this is a good board. We don't miss many meetings, so it ain't it's not an issue. But I do think, and I know some towns and some is being abused by some people, they're using the virtual a lot. But I think as elected official, you have a responsibility to come here and face the citizens. You know, when they come and speak to us, that, you know, you need to be here for them to speak to you. So I don't know if anybody's missed 2 times in 1 year.
I don't think I've ever missed 1.
2 times in 1 year.
I think I was sick, and I think I participated remotely.
You did, you were right down there.
Well, you were sick, though.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2 times for travel or 2
Oh,
times
no.
for something like that.
And I know,
Sick, there's no limit on.
correct, there would be no limit on sick, and this is also not an absence policy. If you are unable to attend, you're just simply unable to
I
attend.
could be sick and in Hawaii. And
You
it's
could be
all
sick
good.
in Hawaii, and as long as you are wise enough to not desire to attend a meeting, it's not an issue at all.
Yep, have the right background, right?
Quickly did that.
But what we want to do is get something in place, you know, because I think April's coming up, where, now there is, for the board awareness, there is this compilation thing around your vote can't be a deciding vote if you virtual something, right?
That's right. Given that remote participation is not something authorized by statute, when the board originally adopted the remote participation policy, the policy includes a a cautious provision that would not permit the commissioner who is participating remotely from being the deciding vote approving a matter. Certainly, in that case, from prior experience, we know that if something is that close, it's quite likely that a board member will make a motion to continue, and the case will be taken up when the full board is seated.
Wait, you keep saying April. Is something going on with your thing?
I have not said April.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No, not you. Oh, Ronnie. I was like, oh, I thought she had some more details for this. All right.
All right, I move adoption of the proposed second amended and restated remote participation policy.
I'll second.
Very good. So I got a motion and a second. Any more discussions on that?
No, sir.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for pulling that together. And, is this something we're going to address some more later, or is this kind of the final product? What do you think?
Hopefully, we won't have to address it again, although if it does become a problem, I'm certain that the board will place it on a future agenda.
Okay. Sounds good. Yep. Everything good? Yep. All right. Well, we may not need a break. I was looking to see if we would need to take a break, but I think we're kind of winding down. Anybody need to take a break real quick?
Can we
or
just power through, please?
we're good?
Power through.
Huh?
I said, if we could just power through, that would be
Power
good.
through, okay. Communications from the town attorney.
The only thing, Mayor, is that we do have a need for a closed session if that's the desire of the board.
Okay.
Okay, what about the blasting?
Yeah, that's coming up.
Okay.
So that's it, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right, communications from town manager, and I think you got a memo from Meredith.
I'm going to do a quick calendar for you, just to check your calendars. Monday at 8:30, I sent you an email about that. You're invited to coffee here at the Triangle Community Coalition, where we're expecting a pretty good-sized group of developers and developers representatives coming to town here, learn a little bit about Rolesville, and also just having a casual conversation. It's expected to last an hour, and they were providing the coffee and treats. And then you also saw that we have scheduled on January 18th legislative coffee session at 9 a.m. We do have at least a couple of confirmations, and then I had more calls today about interest, and so I'm trying to get that all put together. Hopefully that comes together.
Yeah, just real quick on that, because I had asked Kelly to see if we could make this happen, because we got quite a few new representatives of our area that is not familiar with town. You know, he mentioned a couple of them in the note. I think Terrence Everett, he's been here a long time, but he's probably the only one that's returning. You know, we've got a new Wake County Commissioner in District 1, a new school board member in District 1. We've got a new U.S. representative for our district, new senator, right? Yeah, new senator.
I've already talked to his representative, and he's going to try to see if he can get it.
A new NC senator. So I just want to, and you guys, just hopefully y'all can come. Hopefully everybody can come and meet them, and they can meet us and get to know us a little bit better, and just a little networking thing with our representatives in this area.
Well, at least you didn't make it for 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we were going to do 7, but we figured, you know.
I would have asked, can you
That was
put me on that
actually
screen?
Kelly's suggestion was to do 7.
Kelly knows better. Sounds like it's going to be
Friday night,
interesting.
The 16th is if some of you have RSVP'd, is our town holiday dinner. And then, Mayor, you may have been saying something, but the 19th is the mayor's dinner.
It's in Garner
Garner.
at the, it's the Fidelity Building. What is that?
It's the
It's where the jewelry store is.
Grand Marquis
Yeah, Grand Marquis, that's it.
Ballroom. It's really nice.
So I know, Dan, you out of town, right? Is everybody else coming?
I'll be there.
Cool.
We'll be there.
Good.
But the chamber party is Friday, right?
Pajama party.
Pajama party, Friday night.
Check that box now.
You don't have to wear,
I did too.
you don't have to wear,
Chamber party is at Arise at 7, 6?
6.
I didn't think I was aware of that.
6 o'clock, pajamas.
But listen, like really
Pajamas.
covered pajamas, like maybe thick covered
Right,
pajamas.
public pajamas.
Don't come in anything else tonight, we're gonna
Sweats
lock
and
you
a
out.
holiday sweater, how about that? Come on, y'all, come have some
Mary, you
fun.
may have been
You
wanting
going?
to say something, but the mayor and I went to the town and farm lunch a week and a half ago before Thanksgiving.
Where's my
And
paper at?
we were the only town representatives there.
That's right.
It's an event put on by the Extension Bureau Group and represents the opportunity to promote agriculture in Wake County and what they're doing for the county and such. And so it's a really good turnout. And we actually get to share at a dinner table with outgoing Senator Price.
Price.
Had some good discussion with him on his way back.
And also Bob Etheridge was at the table. Y'all may remember Bob
My
Etheridge.
goodness. Wow,
Y'all remember him?
I do
do.
not.
I do remember.
Must be
He was an
before,
icon.
must be before 2007.
The other
Yes.
two things that
Okay.
you've already touched on, but tomorrow, we're right behind you, is the great plumbing replacement. We hope to have done by Thursday night. And then we touched on, but I sent you a note that we did get approved on our loan for the project, and that is moving forward. In your packet is a memo. You had a question that the public to be heard recently about blasting, so, and you asked to put together some information on that, and Meredith has provided that memo. We can go through that, but what we found out was that we are covered by the Wake County permit, which are all the various appropriate items that are required for most communities that have blasting permits. You have to post various insurance coverages. You have to show that you've notified the neighborhood and such. And so what we found out was, unbeknownst to Meredith and myself, that there is great coverage within the town of Rolesville for that activity. And it meets all the standard practices that we saw when we reviewed out there in North Carolina blasting permits in other communities and counties. And what we found out also is that we don't have a purpose necessarily to require a permit with the town, because we already see that notice. So we're actually eliminating the fact that we need a permit, because we already get that information. It's a policy, it's not an ordinance, it's something that we've been practicing. But really, I think we believe we're in good shape from a blasting perspective within the community. It's the same practice, it's the same permit, it's required in unincorporated Wake County, and generally most all municipalities within Wake County.
So what is it covering?
What does it cover?
Right, what are you, I don't,
It's in the memo.
no, you know what why I'm asking this? Because when they were blasting in what's currently your neighborhood, there were issues with people having damages to their homes further away. But, and I know I had to call my insurance company, but they put that, you have to have insurance for incidents like that. But I do know that it was causing issues. So what we did as an HOA, we asked the blasting company to come and have a conversation. And they explained how they could put, I'm probably saying it wrong, but they could blast right here and you wouldn't feel it because of the way they position the dynamite. And maybe we can do something like that for this community, because there is a lot of concern about foundations were cracked, pictures were falling off the walls, there were just all types of issues. So I think for this community and the fear that people have about you're gonna hear it and you're probably gonna feel it, but maybe the blasting company can come in here during one of our workshops or our meetings and explain how they do it and how much of an expert they are in how they place the dynamite and how it's not supposed to happen, and let them feel the questions and answers. But my other question was basically about when you were saying coverage and not coverage. I'm like, I didn't understand what you were referring to.
That's coverage to cover any homeowner that has issues,
Yes,
and that's through Wake County.
yes.
Right, okay, so, wow. And I say that, Kelly, because there were a lot of people in the villages who had issues, but the town didn't do anything about it. Everybody was directed to their homeowners policy. So is this something different from when, I mean, I know you weren't here, but is it something different now?
Not that I'm aware of. We've always, I don't know if you want to talk a little more, but we've always been covered by this through Wake County.
Sure.
That's interesting to know because,
With the insurance, in order to receive the blasting permit from Wake County Fire Services, the blasting company must have a minimum of $100,000 coverage per occurrence. And I Googled what that meant, because I was like, what is that? Per occurrence versus, it's not per project, so I take it as per blast.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, generally, that's what it means for insurance.
so with
100,000
each
per
blast,
blast.
it's
$100 coverage,
100,000.
yes, 100,000.
And they'll be blasting for
minimum.
almost every home.
Right, so how does that work when it comes to houses, individual houses? Am I missing it? Maybe I'm putting too much into it. How does that work?
They have a
Are
claim.
you
I'm not
asking
an
me?
attorney.
I do not know, ma'am, but I will investigate if you'd like me to.
No, because I'm saying, I know as somebody who's on the board for the villages, there were so many people who had pictures they had taken, they had sent it to our management company, and it all correlated around the same time as the blasting. But it wasn't something that you were able to come to the town for. Again, we were all directed by the management company to go to your insurance companies. So that's why I'm saying, is the town being, maybe not, I don't know. That can be expensive, is what I'm saying.
It's just like any insurance, right? So you have your homeowner's insurance. You're covered through your homeowner's insurance, but your homeowner's insurance may seek something from the
Wake
coverage
County.
of the blasting company for
Separate.
damages if they can prove it was caused by the damages. Same as vehicle insurance and such like that. So they do have to have insurance for their blasting.
I knew the blasting company did, but I didn't know the town carried it as well.
Town does not carry it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, then I was.
No, we
I
don't.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying. I'm like, okay, maybe I just missed something, I have to
No, it
reread
is,
it.
it is the blasting company has to have that requirement.
Okay, right, okay, got that. Sorry, I missed something.
No, that's all right.
I think Meredith, Thomas LaFonza, I think is his name, concern had to do with whale. So was any discussion about how you determine if the whale was damaged?
We haven't looked into that. I guess sounds like what Kelly was just saying, if you were able to prove that the blasting caused the damage to the well, you could go after the blasting company, because they have to prove they have insurance to cover things like that.
So they would have $100,000
Per boom, yes.
to dig a new well or to do something.
That is so hard to prove, though.
So in a previous experience, not with blasting, but something that caused the earth to shake, we always advised homeowners to document, and then if they had something occur, they pursue those civilly through their insurance company and such, and through the company who is providing this. But it is really incumbent upon the proof of the event. That's incumbent upon the homeowner to some extent.
So I know in the past, and I don't know if it's specifically here, but we've had, or I've heard of, developers preemptively going to homeowners and pre-checking everything and then afterwards. So that would be a discussion between developers and the surrounding neighbors, I would think.
And you could also ask that be a condition or see if they would be willing to volunteer that condition. Sometimes they do that.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
happened also.
Right.
They were telling them, go take pictures of your foundations, right, inside and outside if you have a basement.
Yeah, but if you could talk into the developer into ahead of time, checking stuff out, you're not responsible for trying to prove that was not that way beforehand. Maybe if that's a condition for the developer to say, your well's pumping out this many gallons, and then you go later on and it's pumping out half that, you kind of know, you kind of have proof there for that, so.
Oh, that's just for wells,
Yeah,
not just for
but I'm
homes.
just for homes too. Your cracks in your foundation, this and that, I mean, you didn't have them before if there's a picture showing that before, but if you're the homeowner, you just bring a picture versus them checking it prior to.
It's a very hard case to
Yeah,
prove.
it is. But it's something we should look into, definitely.
But I think having that conversation so people won't be so afraid and claim every little crack is because of the blasting. That, I mean, they were it was very educational to hear how they did it and how you just can't even feel it like a mile away. I don't even know.
Meredith, can we, when development comes through, can you bring this up with developers as an item and make sure they are aware of the town board's concerns, and then ask them to try and address it in a matter of their conditions or the development so that the board
Certainly.
knows?
I'd like to prepare a blasting permit handout, since we're recommending that Rolesville does not issue a blasting permit because don't have expertise there and aren't responsible for it. But the notification for our community and residents is very important, so we'd like to create a new blasting handout. So once an applicant or blasting company gets a permit from Wake County, we would be notified of that, and then we would provide them with this handout saying you must notify the residents however many hours in advance. We could say, please speak with people about this, give them some information ahead of time, look at things ahead of time, and we can share those concerns in that format.
While we're on this subject of kind of notifying folks, this came up in my brain earlier when we were talking, or I think there were public comments, and the lady, the business owner, she said that she didn't have notification. I feel like we've had this conversation a lot. And I thought it said 200 feet is the notification thing. I remember us discussing this, that it should be bigger. And to me, if the community is really large that's being proposed, 200 feet to me is not enough. Because there may be no one for 200 feet because it's land, right? But if someone especially is at a corner, they're gonna be impacted. I feel like that should be more like 500 feet. Because you're in that neighboring area, and 600 homes or 1,000 homes, that's gonna impact you, even if you're 1,000 feet. So I feel like we need to update that, and I feel like we've had this conversation before, and I thought it got changed.
Twice in 4.5 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have had this conversation.
I think it was
And you've
twice.
gotten to I think you went from 100 or 50 to 200.
I
and we
remember
had a conversation
500,
about going
because
further.
we were talking about HOAs.
We did, and you settled on 200 last time, but we can bring it back up and show you, or talk about it and let you talk through it again.
I just think 200, especially when you're talking about a large proposed community, is way too narrow.
Is that where we're at now, 200?
Yeah, and that seems so low.
I thought we went bigger than that. But I believe Dave said, although I could be getting my days mixed up, that when you go bigger, people who are not really a part of what's happening will, get into that.
That was one of the primary considerations you had when we went and did it from the right-of-way. And then you did the math, we showed you math. And when you looked at that, if I recall correctly, and we'll go back and kind of rekindle that and provide that to you, but it showed a much bigger area, and I think your concern was, or at least expressed concern at that time was, it was too big, too many people
No,
potentially.
that wasn't my concern.
Yeah, I don't have that.
But, I'm just
never
saying,
did.
But that would be a concern. I understand why. But again, when you're like right there, you're not being notified. And an example was with the past mayor, when he said, I didn't even get anything, and it was Rolesville Elementary School.
there.
He said, how did I not be notified?
would you be amenable for Meredith and I to go back, and I think it was in 2019, Meredith, we could go back to this discussion and find that material,
Okay.
and then we'll resend it out and kind of the results of that and let you look at it, and then whenever you're ready, we can reschedule it.
Or
and
it could be
talk
on a
about
work session topic, because
Mhm.
I remember 500 feet, and I
I
thought we
remember
had
that too.
settled that.
I thought we did as well. But I would definitely love to hear, or either look at Paul's notes. But we
Paul's
have-
got it. Paul, what you
Yeah,
got?
what you got there?
It's in my other notebook.
So, and also, I sent you a little note today, Meredith. I would really like to talk about the clusters, not tonight, because to me, I felt like when we were discussing the lot sizes, the minimum lot size, I just feel like there was nothing interjected to say, well, you know, for clusters, blah, 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 it's half that size. And now everybody's coming to the board with clusters, which means they're gonna be on 5,000 square foot lots. So I feel like that, and you know I'm not pointing the finger at you, I'm pointing at myself. It's just so you know that, I just didn't realize that it would have that type of an effect. So I just want to see, how do we address that? Because really, we don't have enough road space for 5,000 square foot lot homes when people are coming in talking about building 500 and 600 homes, you know, per development. So is there a way that can be
Sure, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a cluster now, you're not supposed to be adding density. It's not more homes in a cluster. It's just that they're clustered together.
Right, together, I get that.
But you still have to have all this land that.
I get that.
In
but
other
I'm
words,
just-
it's not, you're not adding any more traffic, anything, than you would
Right,
non-cluster.
but the dynamics of the neighborhood are impacted by these postage stamp size lots. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing, I'm just saying, I just need more education on that. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think that was an issue with the planning board as well. Because it seemed like they were like, well, we don't know anything about this. And I'm like,
Exactly.
well, wait, they've already been coming to us, so you know something, you know, but I guess it's just not, maybe there just needs to be another,
Something, because it was almost like people were caught off guard, like, oh, wow. And again, not a bad thing, not a good thing, but just something that we need to be aware of, that this here decision impacted this situation that we're in now. And you're right, it's not more, but it's just,
So your January 3rd meeting, your next meeting is, I would define it a little bit light. It has a couple, we're gonna bring back the policy on, from recreation to, what do we call it when we are? Can't think of it. Well, scholarships, and then we're also gonna bring back the, thank you, cost recovery policy.
I was like, what?
There we
The
go,
what
thank you.
policy?
Cost recovery.
okay.
So if we can put together a couple of these items in the next week and a half, would you mind spending some time on them at that meeting? Because you're in January, you're going to have a pretty good size, that January, second meeting in January, you're going to have a pretty good size land use. Then you have some more land uses in February, March, and then we're going to get into budget. And we're going to start getting into, I'm going to need your time on the planning for town campus and building discussions. So there's some things coming your way. It's going to take some time. So if we can get a few of these, maybe do the research on that, one discussion, put together something, are you willing to spend a little bit more time on this on January 3rd? If we have, I think we should have time. Okay. Because I'd like to advance a little bit before we get too further along, because you're not going to have time come February, March on some of these, so.
Right,
okay.
and we need to get it resolved. Hey, are there any more quasi judicial cases still on the books? Or are we all finished with that?
Coming forward?
Yes. Are there any more? Are they all done?
No, with LDO Round 3 that was approved October 4th, the special use permits are going to the Board of Adjustment. So we have our first Board of Adjustment meeting next Tuesday, the 13th, and there will be one case at that. Cool.
What time is that?
It's going to be at 12 noon, lunch provided.
12 noon.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for my report.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Is there any other communications from the board?
Pajama party on Friday, don't forget.
And don't forget what type to wear. Sweatpants and a sweatshirt is pajamas.
Oh, thank you. It was nice. He said Christmas parade was nice
Thank you.
and without incident.
Chamber
That's what I
does
was
a good
happy
job
about.
with that.
Yeah, they
Always
do.
have. Any other thoughts? All right. I think the attorney is asking for a closed session, so if someone would let us know what the need for the closed session is in a form of a motion.
I move to enter closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3.
Have a motion second.
Second.
Motion second. Any more
Tish.
discussion?
Tisha,
All in favor?
I'm
say
sorry.
Aye.
I do apologize. I'm so
We
sorry.
will recess to closed session. Closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Mic's on. We back live here at Town Hall in Rolesville. We are coming out of closed session with some deliberations with our attorney. Dave Neal, would you please give us a status of what we discussed?
Thank you, Mayor Curran. In follow-up to our discussion, there are two properties that are components of the Rogers Road right-of-way widening for which the town has been unable to secure the cooperation of the property owners for certain easements that are required for the widening of the road. At the recommendation of our right-of-way agent and the counsel that I provided you, it would be our recommendation that the board move forward by authorizing eminent domain against those two properties there, and I believe you have those addresses.
Okay, everybody, you heard the report from the attorney and the recommendation. Do I hear a motion on the recommendation?
I move that the town initiate eminent domain proceedings consistent with North Carolina general statutes with regard to 115 Well Springs Road, 4808 Rogers Road for the public improvements to Rogers Road.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing anyone. Thank you, board. Appreciate that. Thank all the work you did tonight. We did table or send one back to the planning board, but everything else we got done. We're getting close to the end of the year. This is our last board meeting, I think, in 2022, I believe. So appreciate all the work y'all did. Great work. It's a lot of work in 2023, so be ready to go January the, is it 4th or 5th, 3rd? January's getting here quick, so January 3rd, be ready to go. We got a lot of work to do in January, so thank you, board. Have a good holidays. I know there's a lot of things going on this week and next week leading up to that, so see you guys in town. Thank you. And at this time, unless I hear opposition, not hearing any, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.